So, Forrest is convinced that Charlie's out to get him. And
Charlie, your cat, is out to get your husband.
Charlie, my cat, is out to get my husband. Because, okay, so usually it's always just like, oh, she just doesn't like me. Oh, she, like, sometimes she'll bat at his hand. And, like, normally when I would pet her, she'd be like, oh, this is great. And so, but today, I was sitting, like, facing kind of like, so if our line of sight was like lines, it would have like crossed over. And so I was facing one way and he was facing the other way to where Charlie was in his line of sight, but not in mine. And so he was just like, oh my gosh, she's like glaring at me. And I looked over and Charlie went like that. And then I turned back and Charlie looked back and like twitched her eye at him. And when I looked back at her, she like looked away again. He's like, see, like she's doing, and I was just like, so I played to it more and I was like, I didn't see anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
Look at this innocent cat. Yeah. How could she ever do anything wrong? She's just like pointing at her eyes, pointing at his eyes.
Exactly. And so now, like, so I started kind of playing dumb a little bit. So we're like, what? She loves you. Like, look at her. She's like staring at you just like sweetly. And then like, I'll look away and he's like, she's doing it again. It's so funny.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
You're listening to Almost Sisters, a podcast where two almost sisters discuss their weekly interests. It's the same thing they've been doing for years, but now they're in front of a microphone, and they're editing it, and posting it with an audience. This is going to be trickier than they thought.
Attention listeners, we are about to talk about veganism, but I need you to understand we do not condone Peta nor their behaviors or the behaviors of any vegan who thinks that they're better than you.
Fair enough. I think that's, yes.
Okay. So, my journey in my kind of veganism now as a pescatarian, sort of most of the time vegetarian, it starts way back in the day of 2014 when I went off to a college that had a farm as part of its curriculum. I was in equine science. I thought I would be studying horses, but they made me do meat science. Now, before this point, I had already been interested in veganism. I had been following this YouTuber. Her name is Freely the Banana Girl. She's crazy as you know what now, because like all of a sudden she started just like trashing people on the internet. So she started like talking about really like it's good for your health, it's good for the environment, it's like here's how to do it. She like showed like meal plans and stuff like that. So I was already interested in it. What really sold the deal on me never eating meat again is I was in my meat science class, and the first couple of months we worked with the different livestock, getting to know what they needed to eat, getting to know, just all the different stuff about their anatomy and everything else like that. So,
deep sigh, getting ready to tell the rest of this story.
So there's a cow. It was the cutest cow I'd ever seen in real life. And I had spent 2 classes every week interacting with this little cow.
Deep sighs.
8 weeks into the class, and it was time for the butchering lesson. We watched this poor little cow get shot in the face with one of those nail gun things. Yeah, it spasmed, like let out this shriek, and fell to the ground as blood was spurting out of it. I have never eaten meat since then. I had chicken a little bit after that, but definitely no beef. Like chicken I ate up until like 3 months after that, but then like it was like, people were like, oh, you're not gonna eat beef? You want some chicken? Because that's all we got, just chicken. Chicken? That's vegetarian, right? I guess. But
chicken is a plant.
Well, like, okay, my dad actually came up to me. This is when I like finally was done with meat altogether, and he walks out and he goes, Can you eat chicken? And I'm like, Dad, I'm vegetarian. He's like, well, I was just wondering if you can eat chicken. I was like, that's not what. So, really my reason for not eating beef anymore was because I could never not think of that. Like, and it was more of a grossing out, not like the poor cow. It was more like, oh my God, I just witnessed a murder, you know? But, and pork was kind of something that I never really liked before. And so, yeah, I just kind of trickled on down from that. And so since 2014, I haven't eaten meat on purpose. Every now and then there's been like, oh, there's meat in this thing. All right. And kind of feeling like I might die, but being okay otherwise. Mm-hmm. So it took me a long time to reach the veganism state, I guess. State of
vegan.
The state of vegan. Oh, the ultimate state.
It's like Scott Pilgrim character who's vegan. He's got magical powers because he's a vegan.
Okay, the vegan classification of human. I don't know. But it took me a long time to get to that point. So I was a vegan for 6 solid months in 2015. And then I was kind of traveling a lot, driving back and forth from college. I had a dorm room, so I only have a microwave. So it kind of just ended up being like, okay, well, it's just easier to be vegetarian instead because I can eat mac and cheese and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I
not even real cheese anyway, so
yeah. So yeah, I was like, it's powder, anyways. But and I really only ate fish when I would come home and my dad would bake fish. Like it was kind of like he was like, you have to eat something, and so I was like, all right, I'll eat fish. That's fine. But I gave up fish for a good long while during that 6 months of being vegan, and so I was vegetarian / pescatarian because again, like I don't eat fish more than like maybe once a week. So mostly vegetarian. And then it wasn't until, let me see, when was that? It was Lent of 2016 that I did veganism again. Or 2017, something like that. I was vegan again for 40 days and 40 nights. And so, but after that, I went back to being pescatarian, and I've been pescatarian ever since. But I do want to one day go back to being vegan. So I don't know how to transition into anything else.
So, you know, the reason why we're talking about this mm-hmm. is because recently I have been doing a lot of research on veganism. Mm-hmm. Is that it?
Yeah, word? Veganism.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've known what being a vegan is for a long time. You know, I've always just thought, oh, that's really hard to do. Like, I really, you know, I like cheeseburgers. I don't know that I could ever do that. Mm-hmm. But, you know, recently I've been trying to, you know, when I did Whole30, I discovered that I probably shouldn't eat dairy. Mm-hmm. And so I've kind of stopped eating dairy. And I've kind of stopped eating red meat, mm-hmm. kind of accidentally. Just like I end up ordering chicken if I end up getting a meat at a restaurant. Mm-hmm. And I usually end up buying like ground turkey if I need it for a recipe. And so I've kind of just accidentally stopped eating red meat.
Yeah.
And so the fact that I don't eat red meat and the fact that I don't eat dairy, I was like, well, that's halfway to vegetarianism, which is not at all. But
not how that works.
It's not how that works. But I was just like, okay, it's not that hard to cut stuff out that I'm, quote, used to eating. Mm-hmm. And so then I just started researching. And I kind of started looking specifically at veganism because of what my weekly obsession is, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But I just started reading up on it, and I was just fascinated by it because, you know, I learned a lot of things about how there's different kinds of vegans, and so you have to decide what kind you want to be. And another thing that has kind of drawn me more toward it is because I'm trying to live zero waste, and it is so hard to eat zero waste when you eat meat. Yeah. Because it's so hard to get meat package free. Mm-hmm. Like, I have not yet been able to find a grocery store that allows me to bring my own container for that. And so that right there is waste. And so
if you want to know the environmental impact that the meat industry specifically has.
I'm well aware.
Okay, cool. Have you seen the documentary Cowspiracy?
No, but I've heard some of the concepts that are covered in it.
Okay, yeah, because it's like cows are destroying the planet.
Yeah. And
we'll get into that in a little bit, but go ahead with what you're saying.
So I had also I heard about a lot of those environmental stuff when I was watching The Good Place on, not The Good Place, what's it called? The Good Stuff. I was watching The Good Stuff on YouTube, which is a series that Wheezy Waiter did for PBS. Yeah. And they did an episode on plant-based protein. Mm-hmm. It's a company called Beyond Meat. And so in that video, they kind of talked about why they were trying to get away from using meat, and they talked about the cows and all the stuff that goes with that.
Okay.
So that's where I learned some of that. But anyway, I started looking into it, and I was like, if I was eating vegan, that would make buying groceries so much easier because I have a great bulk grocery store, and so I can get all kinds of grains and spices and plantain chips and any other thing that you can think of that's kind of like a dry product. You can get that in bulk. Yeah. You can get vegetables and fruits zero waste. And so it's just like, it would be so much easier. And so, after doing all this research, it's something that I'm very interested in, but I still not quite prepared to jump into it because I still don't feel like I know enough, especially when it comes to how to be a healthy vegan. Because I've done a lot of my research on Pinterest, and Pinterest is not the most reliable place to find healthy recipes. You see a lot of like cheating recipes. Like, this is technically vegan, so you can technically eat it even if it's got 8,000 calories in it.
All the Oreos and Teddy Grahams, they're all vegan.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, I'm still not quite, I still don't feel, researched enough yet, but it's something that I'm looking into. And so I'm borrowing some cookbooks from you, and I'm talking to you about it. I just want to kind of know what your experience with it has been.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point that I see a lot of like people who are like, I went vegan for 30 days and I felt like crap because of it. It's because they're only eating potato chips and, mac and cheese, or not like the Daya mac and cheese where it's like just this fake sludge that tastes like cheese.
Well, it's like Coca-Cola is vegan. Pasta is vegan. If you eat Coca-Cola and pasta, for only 30 days and Oreos,
you're gonna feel awful.
Yeah. And that's my problem, is because I would love to be able to just eat pasta and drink Coca-Cola for 30 days, but I can't do that.
Yeah. So my kind of way out of that kind of trap with veganism was doing raw till 4, and so that's only eating raw fruits and vegetables until 4 p.m. So that means dinner time, you can have a full cooked meal, you can have pasta, you can have whatever you want, but your breakfast is like a fruit smoothie or like fruit salad or whatever. Lunch is a salad just of greens and carrots and things like that. And so it's just like it allows you to have very clean eating, but then you can still enjoy something like really savory and kind of carby at the end of the day.
That's interesting. I hadn't heard about that one yet. See, there's still so much that I don't know about.
So much. Yeah, because I think the thing is that I was able to find a lot of good sources on the fact that if you're going to go vegan, you have to eat mostly raw, because it's just, especially too, because it's just so easy. I mean, for any diet to just find junk food. And so when you're facing this new dilemma of like, oh, well, I can't like have a piece of chicken with some greens on the side. I have to make the greens my whole thing. And so people, one, get really tired of eating the same thing over and over again, because all their parents knew. I mean, our parents came from the box dinner generation, and so it was hamburger helper, green beans from a can, or corn from a can, you know, and just kind of things like that. So where a lot of our generation don't know how to cook because our parents didn't know how to cook. And so you know, I think that for me, that was the biggest thing of like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing with food at all. And so, yeah, so I had to be able to just go, all right, for breakfast, I'm just going to have 3 bananas with a cup of fruit, and that's going to be my breakfast. Maybe some spinach thrown in there every day. That's going to be my thing. And then salad, whatever I have in the fridge to make a salad. So it was always just kind of like, I had to be able to go, okay, like what can I do to be as healthy as possible at the beginning of my day? And then, you know, whatever I wanted, like pasta. And so I would do pasta and marinara sauce and like the nutritional yeast. I would eat that. And so things like that. But you can have that and it not affect your health and everything else because you're eating clean all through the day. Yep.
So tell me about, because even though I haven't even started yet, and even I think, you know, my journey will probably be like from paleo to vegetarian to vegan, possibly. Who knows? I'm still researching. But, you know, even though I haven't even started, one of the biggest things that stick out in my mind is, what will my family say? Like, not because they would be disappointed, but it's just like, you know, as you said, that's what we grew up on, and that's what they still eat. And so it's like, it would be an inconvenience for them. And so I'm just like,
yeah, and I think really right now, the reason why I'm a pescatarian, and of course I don't want to blame my problems on other people, but I mean, the main reason I am is because it's easier for my family and my husband, and, you know, it's even being a pescatarian who eats dairy and eggs, so like an ovo, something pescatarian, whatever. I don't care, pescatarian, I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
But it's still hard for like holidays and things like that, where people are like, Caitlin, what are you gonna eat?
Yeah.
And it's like, here, I'm gonna show you a picture of what I ate on Thanksgiving. I had plenty of food, but yet people still were like, Caitlin, you're not having turkey or ham or whatever, but like, so what are you gonna eat? And it was just like, oh, this is Christmas. I had plenty of food.
Yeah,
I had salad, mashed potatoes, corn, green bean casserole, fruit salad. I had a plethora of things to eat. But the thing is that so many people see those foods, like salad and mashed potatoes and things like that, they're only side dishes. They can't be your full meal. Yeah. Where's the meat? Like, that's what their response always is. And so, yeah, it's hard.
That needs to be the name of the episode.
Where's the meat? Oh my gosh. But even still, like, I mean, I went out to lunch with my my mother-in-law a few weeks ago, and she was like, so are you ever gonna stop? Like, are you ever gonna like start eating meat again? And the thing is that for some of my friends, I've had to tell them, and it is true. It's now true. But I told them that part of the reason why I don't eat meat is because it's bad for my stomach. And I mean, nowadays, if I were to eat meat, chunks everywhere. So, but it's just like, it's hard, like, convincing people that I'm just doing this because I want to be healthier. Like, it's not like, I'm not like on some like hunger strike or crusade against whatever, you know, I just want to be better.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, because I agree. I've, like, through slowly cutting stuff out, I've realized, like, a lot of stuff that I eat, I probably shouldn't. Like, my body doesn't like it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, with the whole paleo thing, you never cut out meat. And so I don't know yet if that's one of the things that upsets me. But, like, I think, you know, you were talking about when you first started going vegetarian that there was already stuff that you didn't like eating. And that's kind of true. Like, I'm not a huge red meat person. And I think I've kind of weaned myself off of it to where I don't like it as much even more. You know, I don't really like pork that much, especially after going to China when they had pork in freaking everything. I'm like sick of it now.
Yeah.
And so, like, really white meat is the only issue that I have with that. And so it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's all very, like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, and I think with you doing the paleo diet, it can seem like a mountain to climb because the paleo diet is so, it's so focused on meat.
Well, it's like, it's half of it. It's like half of it is veggies and fruits and half of it is meat. And so it's like you put them together and you got a whole meal. And it's like, well, what about that other half if you're not eating that other half?
Yeah. And so, and I think too, another thing that people have, especially like nowadays with a lot of people being more health conscious, is that a lot of people think that carbs in general are bad.
Yeah.
While fruit carbs are like, fruit in general, the best thing you can give to your body. It's everything that your body needs. It's fiber, it's sugar, it's carbohydrates. And so I think that that's another thing too, is that we have the stigma on sugar and on, you know, not getting enough protein in your diet, which like
I've seen the reports now about you're giving me this look like I've had this argument 1,000 times.
Like, don't even get me started on the whole protein, because like there's so many.
Here's the secret: plants have protein.
Plants have so much protein. Like, and it's protein that your body can absorb. Yeah. Like, the thing is that animal protein, your body goes, like.
Well, so one of the articles that I came across when I was doing all this research was like, how to address the 6 most common questions you get as a vegan. One of their main answer was like, you know, plants have protein. We get it from there. But then one of the other questions was like, aren't we meant to eat meat? Like, we have the teeth for it.
No.
And the answer was like, well, we don't. Like, if you look at actual carnivores, they have like all of their teeth are sharp, so that way they can like tear through flesh and like all this stuff. And if you look at carnivores, their digestive tracts are much shorter because the protein or like the nutrients they get from their eating gets absorbed so quickly. But like, we have the same kind of digestive tract as herbivores, so it's like a long tract, so that way you can take the time to absorb all the nutrients from the plants you're supposed to be eating. And I'm just like, science blew my mind.
I've told so many people, and it's just, they've been like, don't talk to me anymore about this. By me telling them about the whole, like, you know, we have the mouth shape of monkeys. What do monkeys eat? They eat bananas. You know, so. But then also too, the intestinal tract, you know, basically what happens, and sorry for people out there, this is gross. The meat is fermenting inside your body because it's in there. You have rotting flesh in your body. And I'm sorry, like, I'm not trying to be like this shock and awe vegan person, but like, I think that thought grosses me out so much beyond any like environmental factor, like moral factor, anything else. Like the rotting flesh in your body. And I'm sorry everyone, but it's just, you have to understand that we are not equipped, and that's why so many people who eat meat have health problems and have, you know, colon problems, you know,
cholesterol, heart disease.
Like, there's so much stuff, and like, and I found out I shouldn't be eating meat anyways because I already naturally have high cholesterol.
You're just like, sign me up from birth, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna be a vegan.
Yeah, so but yeah, it's just like there's so many things to consider with that. But yeah, protein is, you can get so much protein from plants, like legumes and like, okay, I think I eat more protein now than I did when I ate meat, because I'm constantly adding chickpeas and peanut butter and various kinds of beans. I eat so many kinds of beans now. The only ever bean I ate when I was a meat eater was like the black-eyed peas, and that was only on New Year's Day because my mom made me. So
okay, that's one of the issues that I've been running into because I've thought about this before. I thought about, after I did Whole30, doing vegetarian. But, like, doing a vegetarian Whole30. But, like, Whole30 cuts out so much stuff. Like, no beans are allowed. Very few nuts are allowed.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of stuff that gets cut out to where it's like, okay, if I do vegetarian and Whole30, I'm literally going to eat salad every meal.
Yeah. Yeah.
With no dressing. I'm just going to have a head of lettuce and me chomping on it, and that's going to be my meal. And I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, so I think the thing is that because I tried to look into even just being vegetarian and doing the autoimmune protocol diet, I can't. It's impossible because the only things I could eat would be like, okay, if I was doing pescatarian, would be fish and like greens. And that'd be it. And that I can't live that life, Emily. I need variety.
Yeah.
And so I think the thing about veganism is that it has to be your diet. It has to be
not that plus something else.
Exactly. But the great thing about veganism is, you know, and even vegetarianism, is that it's sustainable. It's something that you can do for the rest of your life and not feel like, oh my gosh, when is this going to be over because I need to eat such and such. Because there's so many things that if there's something that you like to eat as a meat eater or even as a vegetarian, there's a substitute for it for veganism. Like, there are so many, if you need to junk out as a vegan,
you totally can.
You can junk the hell out. So, so I think it's just the thing of, you need to kind of say, I'm going to be a vegan who makes sure to eat this much raw fruits and vegetables. And then, you know, whatever else you want to eat.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
So, because, and another great thing about being vegan is that in the 6 months that I was vegan, that was the healthiest time in my life. I was doing yoga, like I was just doing a bunch of stuff, and I lost so much weight, and my skin cleared up, and so it's just like, yeah.
My skin is clear, my crops are watered, and everything is great.
Yeah.
Love that.
So I mean, it's something that there are really no downsides to it. And the only thing that I really hear people argue against is, 1, protein, like we've said, and 2, oh, I could never do that. I love cheeseburgers too much. Go to Twisted Root, try their bean burger. That is delicious. So,
I mean, like, it's not against veganism, but my thing that I'm like not quite there yet on is, again, finding ways to do it healthy, because most of the stuff that I see is like, well, have vegan mac and cheese for every meal, and I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Is that I think that with most vegan meals that you could cook, it's going to be very carbohydrated focused, unless you do like soups and things like that. Because you can't really, I mean, unless you're just having a salad, you can't really do the lean meat and veggies. Because, I mean, that's lean meat and veggies, that's going to be your lowest caloric intake meal that you can have that fills you up. But you just can't get that as a vegan. But the thing is that you can't, or that you can still get really hearty meals. You just have to really like dig deep. Like I tried this stuffed bell pepper recipe. Delicious. It was like flavorful.
Bell peppers are so good.
It was flavorful. It had some like breading in it or whatever, but it was mostly just different vegetables and seasoning and stuff, and it was like amazing.
Nice.
So yeah, and so you just kind of have to dig a little bit, and the cookbooks that I gave you will help.
Yeah,
so.
I'm excited to look through them. Yeah, man, I don't know, man.
So besides the not able to find any healthy recipes thus far, what other concerns do you have?
You know, again, the familial social stigma. Like, you know, I know there's... Never mind, I'm not going to go down there. But, like, yeah, just having to explain it without, again, as you said, not being like, I'm not making a stance on anything. I'm not protesting anything. I'm just...
Yeah.
And
I think the thing is that you're definitely going to get pushback, but it goes away a lot quicker than you think, because, I mean, okay, honestly, My family still like teases me about it. They still go, "Oh, don't you want some meat? Doesn't it smell good?" And it's like, no, it doesn't. It reminds me of death. Thank you. Please get that away from me. So I think it's just kind of I think as time goes on, it gets better, Emily. So it gets easier to kind of, go to social functions where, they're going to be like, "Oh, here's the vegan," or "Here's the vegetarian, not going to eat meat." But then you load up your plate with all the other good stuff and you go, "I'm done. I'm satisfied. I got it."
Yeah. I think because I think what my trade-off is going to end up being, because right now I'm trying to eat paleo. Mm-hmm. And so if I switch, it's like I'm going to be trading in lean meat for grains. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me, because I know that, you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I know.
Okay. So it seems to me, because as you said, if you have like a little bit of lean meat and a little bit of vegetables, that's enough to fill you up. Mm-hmm. But it's like, okay, if you trade that lean meat for pasta, that seems less healthy.
Yeah, I would say, I think the real enemy with this situation is wheat, because wheat is just going to stick to your bones, Mm-hmm. And so I think that if you're trading in, you can trade it under other grains. So you can trade in quinoa and rice and things like that, to where you still get that filling, but it doesn't stick to you. And I think the thing is that wheat likes to bring a lot of its buddies down with it, in that even though they're carbohydrates, it's not the fact that they're carbohydrates, because again, not all carbohydrates are bad. Mm-hmm. It's really wheat that's the enemy here, because wheat's just like, we're gonna stick around forever. you see this little lump on your butt? That's me. That's wheat. So yeah. So I think just like not replacing it with pasta, and again, you don't even have to replace it with grains and stuff like that. You can just have a more hearty salad, or making sure that you're eating plenty of fruits in the morning and things like that. So
yeah, I think I'll get there eventually, but I'm just a baby researcher right now, so still got a ways to go before I'm ready to take the plunge. Although I am this weekend going to be cooking a vegan meal.
Nice.
So
very good.
There you go.
There you go. It's happening.
That's me knocking on the vegan door.
Come in. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I'm a pescatarian right now, but it has been my goal for a while to become vegan again. I kind of wanted to get through the wedding season and moving into the new apartment and stuff. So now, while my mother-in-law's doing the AAP diet, I'm going to be doing a vegan diet. And so that's going to be 30 days of doing that. And then supposedly after 30 days, she starts introducing things back into her diet. And I'm just going to try to ride out that train as long as I can. Yeah. And so it's going to be easier here soon, because in the next few months I plan to be working exclusively from home, so then I can make every meal and not have to worry about like what can I grab and go and everything like that. So
do you take B12?
I do take B12. Yeah, that's very important. That's the only thing that meat eaters really have on us is B12. Even though, one, you don't need that much B12. Two, your body doesn't absorb that much B12 from meat. But yeah, taking a B12, and I also take an iron supplement, but that's also because along with my high cholesterol, I have very low iron levels just naturally. So I take an iron supplement, but I recommend anyone who has been eating red meat for a long time to take iron, unless they're just going to be eating a bunch of spinach. But yeah, B12, iron, and vitamin D to make sure you absorb all of that stuff. So, but yeah, I think that would be the only thing that meat eaters can be like, oh, you don't get any B12. But I do in my supplements. Put it under my tongue. It dissolves. B12, baby. Okay.
Good to go.
I'm good to go. Some people do a B12 shot that's supposed to like last for like a certain amount of time, but I don't like needles, so supplements it is. And it tastes like cherry, so
there you go.
So there you go. If you eat meat at all, don't be like, oh, I'm a vegan, but I ate beef on Sunday. It's like, no, because vegans will find you
Yeah.
and they will kill you.
Well, especially because, like, you know, vegetarian, you know, I'm probably about to say stuff that is not justified and I don't know what I'm talking about. But, you know, vegetarianism has a lot of offshoots as far as, like, exceptions.
Yeah.
And so it's like, there's the pescatarian and there's the
Ovo, vegetarian.
Yeah, that. And so it's like, you know, there's a lot of different caveats to vegetarianism that allows for some kind of something. Like, I even know there's one that's like chickatarian or something like that. And so there's like different, but the offshoots for veganism are like, how intense are you? It's like, are you...
Do you
like,
not wear animal clothes?
Yes.
Do you not eat honey? Like things like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not for veganism, it's not like, oh, what is your exception? It's like, how hardcore are you? And so it's like, yeah.
So I think the thing is that for me, why I'm not vegan right now is just because it was too challenging to keep up with it with everything else going on in my life, trying to graduate college and getting engaged and everything else. And so now that my life is starting to settle, I can actually start getting back into that.
Yeah.
But so speaking of different kinds of vegans and vegetarian people and stuff like that, it's important to kind of look at why are you wanting to be a vegan, because that kind of helps you, not only does it help you keep yourself accountable, but it also just kind of lets you figure out how to steer conversations with people, because everyone's going to ask you why. It suddenly becomes everyone's business when you cut out something that everyone eats. And so there's really 4 main kind of facets to this. It's environmental, it's moral, it's animal rights, because there's a difference between the moral factor and the animal rights, because like animals are people basically with the animal rights. And then the 4th one, wait, what was the 4th one? Oh, the 4th one is just that it's gross and you don't like it. So I think there's probably more just knowing how people are. There's probably like 10 different ones out there, but those are the 4 main ones. And so for me, my starting one was the, I guess with the cow incident, it was more of the gross, I don't want to eat that. Then it became kind of more of a moral, like, I don't want to be involved with that. There's lots, I mean, the animal industry, it's really that's more toward the animal industry, not the fact that you're eating meat. Because I'm not like, you're eating meat, you're so cruel to animals. It's like, well, no, what went into that was just awful. And then the 3rd one is the fact that cows are destroying the environment. Also pigs and chickens are pretty gross too. And just so it's just bad overall. We're not using our resources properly. The animal industry is why most of the world is going hungry, because all the feed goes to the animal. So it's a whole list of factors. But my one thing that I'm not really a part of is the whole like, okay. We should probably preface this near the beginning actually about Peta.
And their whole
thing. So
do we need to talk about Peta?
We need to at least preface at the beginning, like, we do not support Peta. We do not support vegans who are rude to other people. Like, we are not condoning the behaviors of people that are like, you know, shun the non-believers kind of thing. So we might add something like that at the beginning. But anyways, but the 4th one with the whole animal rights thing, I mean, animals are animals. They're not people.
AG, cover your ears.
As much as I love animals, it's like they have their place in the world and everything else like that. If you were to become a vegan, which 4 of these do you think that you might be more like connected to?
Well, I think when I started doing research, you know, I came across some of these. And the ones that initially appealed to me most were the morality of it and what was the 3rd one?
The animal rights?
It was before animal rights.
I think it was the last one that I mentioned. Just it being gross.
So like, okay. Because you mentioned 2 of them.
So environment.
Yes, environment. That's the other one.
That was the first one, yeah.
So the environmental impact and the morality of it were the 2 that kind of initially kind of get me like, I think it's a good thing to do. I think if I started it and got into like, it became a regular meal habit, then it would probably turn into it grosses me out.
Yeah.
I avoid gross documentaries, so I haven't gotten to that point yet.
Yeah.
But I know that I know that if my eating habits became a habit like this, and if I started watching some of those documentaries, it probably would gross me out. So that one kind of is like the subtitle. But the morality and the environment are the two that would kind of be where I stick my flag.
So I think when you're ready, and only when you're ready, and this is like when you're ready to like never eat meat again, I'm going to sit down with you and we're going to watch a couple of documentaries.
I don't want to.
I know you don't want to.
Have nightmares.
I know. We'll watch it in the middle of the day. And I'll be right there with you the whole time. We can cuddle with Iggy.
We will. Iggy, you'll have to comfort me.
Yeah. And so, but I think the thing is that it really helps to stay motivated. Like, because there's been times, especially since I've been living with a, he likes to eat a lot of meat. And
living with a carnivore.
Carnivore, through and through. There's been times where I'm like, man, it would be so much easier just to eat meat. Like, man, I don't know. Like, I've like second guessed myself, but then it's like I remember back to things that I've learned, and like, it's just so much better. No, just stick with it. It's so much better. Even though you kind of backtracked a lot, this is as far backtracking that you're gonna go.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it is hard when you're around people that have such different diets than you. Because then it's like, well, okay, you make your meals and I'll make my meals and we'll just make all of our meals separately. But I think that, people say, and you said, like, veganism is hard. And I bet it is. It's probably hard to, like, come up with variety and stuff like that. But I think it's really not that hard to, like, get the ingredients to do what you need to do. Like, I was watching a video of this lady that was making breakfast and dinner for her. It was just her and her husband, and they're both vegan. And I was just like, your meals look delicious. I want to eat what you're eating. I don't know what I'm having for lunch today. And so it's like, and they like live out of a van. And so it's like, okay, if they can get the ingredients to make meals in their van and be vegan, I can do it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's interesting.
yeah.
Like people say it's harder, but it seems like it would be easier.
And it's like when I was a full vegan, it was really easy to get into that routine of going like, I know when I go to the store, I know exactly what to get. And so it's like nowadays, not having those restrictions, I go to the store and I'm like, I guess I'm going to get this. I guess I'll get that. And I like don't really know how to tell myself like, no, the meals that you can prepare and stuff and to be vegan and stuff. But so it's just like getting into that routine, just knowing, keeping in the back of your mind everything that you can eat, and knowing. I think the thing is that because it's been so long since I've been a vegan, I've kind of forgotten how good it feels to be a vegan. And so, you are constantly motivated to continue with that while you're in it. And so I think it's easy to get out of it in the sense that if life changes happen and you're just kind of on the go and you're doing all this other stuff and you're not really thinking about it, you can totally and you're dependent on, I think the thing is that when I really started being pescatarian again, I had moved back into my parents' house. So every night they were making dinner. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll eat this, since I already made it. And I don't want to be like, no, I'm not going to eat your dinner. Like, so
I'm going to go to a salad bar. Take that, parents.
Gosh, Dad, making me try to eat fish. I'm going to go to a salad bar. So
this has been a very informative talk, but I'm still kind of like in the same place I was when we started, where I'm just like, man, I don't know, man.
Yeah, and I totally, the thing is, I totally understand, because it's like, I've been through every sort of stage of this process back and forth, so it's just kind of like, you just go, but what I'm doing right now is, it's so easy, and I know what I'm doing, and so, yeah. So veganism, why is it good for you? I don't know, that was bad.
No, I like that.
Okay, veganism, why is it good for you? So my whole experience with veganism is it made me very healthy. Like, not even just dietary. It really made me, I was more positive. I was exercising more. I just felt better about who I was. And it wasn't like, all right. And it wasn't like the smug veganism like I'm so great because I'm a vegan. But it was just really more of just like my body was happy because I was taking care of it. I was giving it the things that it needed, and none of the stuff that it was like, oh, why? and like I said, skin cleared up, lost a bunch of weight, but not to the, I mean, and that's another thing people worry about is like being too skinny. And it's like, no, I mean, I was building muscle during that time period. Again, I had a lot of protein because I was a vegan. So, but at the same time too, is that I saved money on the food that I bought. And I was just more mentally, I think my grades are better. I think I got on the dean's list actually that semester.
You literally had superpowers.
I had superpowers.
You got promotions.
Yeah.
You like had a great life.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it really there were really no downsides to veganism. The only reason I'm not doing it now is just because I slipped out of the habit, and so I kept slipping, and so that's what happened to me. And
Power comes great responsibility.
yes, exactly. but at the same time, I felt good about the idea that my dietary choices wasn't hurting the environment as much as it had been. The amount of water, I don't even know the exact facts of it, but the amount of water that went into a single piece of meat, and how much grain was used to produce that meat, and everything else. Greenhouse gases, the amount of methane that those cows poop out. Okay, I want to just have one last thought about this, is that I don't want to save all the animals. I think cows are great, and I think they're very cute. We need to have less animals on the planet. That's the problem. Kill all the cows and don't make them breed again. Like, fine, if you want to eat those cows that we have on the planet, eat them, and then just stop. Stop making all the cows. Keep a few if you want to get some cheese and stuff. But there's millions of cows and of course chickens and pigs and things like that just to be slaughtered. And it's like, we're destroying the rainforest so fatties can get their cheeseburgers. So overall, I would have to say that veganism, as far as diets go, is the best choice because it's healthy, it's sustainable, it's good for the environment, it's good for your body, it's good for your mental state, and it's also cheap. So, people think that veganism is expensive because if you go to McDonald's, the salad costs more than the burger. But that's not how it is at the grocery store, especially if you go to stores where you can buy in bulk. So I would definitely recommend anyone who's listening to this who hasn't started veganism, and Emily, to try veganism. And if veganism doesn't work for you, vegetarianism, pescatarianism, just try to cut out red meat and the bird meat. I don't know. White meat. So I think so yeah, try veganism. It's good for you and it makes you feel good, and it's great. Yeah, so I also want to tell you this. So I went to Peta's website. So this is when I first started investigating veganism. And I went to Peta's website because I was like, oh, they like animals. And I didn't realize that they hated all humans. They just it's like their mission is to kill all humans. And let animals rule the world. But I went to Peta's website and I was like looking around. And I was like, okay, this seems a little much, but okay, that's fine. And so then I found myself at this page where they have a bunch of games, and it was,
I don't know where this is going, but it doesn't sound good.
There was this game where it was like Pokemon, but you were fighting the McDonald's characters, and there was blood everywhere in the game. Like, man. It was the darkest, and I was like, huh. And I clicked it. I couldn't, my curiosity was too great. I couldn't. So I went on there and I started playing, and I was like, okay, I'm a beat up Pikachu because he's in an animal fighting ring or whatever. And, it's basically animal abuse and all this other stuff. And then it went into they're at McDonald's, and McDonald's is this evil guy who's trying to eat all the Pokemon, and you had to fight the purple dude from McDonald's, and he was a Pokemon, and it was just the weirdest thing. It was they're trying to attack McDonald's and Pokemon, and it's one, fine, attack McDonald's, that's fine. 1, don't ever attack Pokemon. Because that is near and dear to my heart. And 2, like, I didn't understand who this game was meant for.
Right.
Because it wasn't children friendly. Like, it was not kid friendly at all. And so I was just going through this and I was like, oh my God, are they trying to, like, because if there was a kid playing, not only was it gory, but there was no clear direct lines of what was going on. It was just like, here's some beat up animals fighting these bloody McDonald's characters, and they're like, oh my gosh, he ate there's like a Pokemon called like Moo Cow or something, and they're trying to eat Moo Cow. I don't know if that's the actual Pokemon. I only stick with the original 150 Pokemon, I'll have you know. But it was just this horrible, and I was just like, after I played the whole thing, because I was like, where are they going with this?
Yeah.
And so finally you beat McDonald's and everything else. But, like, you're beating them with your Pokemon that are, like, apparently being abused. So, like, the message was not clear. So, anyway, ever since then, I've just been like, that. Every time someone mentions PETA, I think of that game. Because it's just, like, because it's, like, that is the embodiment in my mind of what PETA is. They are just a bunch of radical people who want to scare people, but they don't really have a clear message. Because, like, for instance, we're going to talk about Steve Irwin here for a second, how they bashed him for animal cruelty when his whole thing was teaching children about animals. And so,
and how to, like, love and respect.
Exactly. Like, love and respect nature and everything else like that. But PETA was like, he abused animals. Why? Because he picked up an alligator one time? Like, sometimes he'd hold their mouths shut. But people do that with children sometimes. Just stop it. Like, you know, don't bite me, little Timmy. So, it's not abuse. You're just trying to protect yourself. And I don't condone people holding children's mouths closed. I was just saying it happens sometimes.
A lot of disclaimers in this episode.
So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that as someone who's been vegan and someone who strives to be vegan again, PETA, you're the worst. Okay, anyone who supports PETA doesn't understand that PETA's the worst. And also too, I do not condone any vegetarians or vegans who are like, I'm the greatest because I don't eat any animal products. I don't buy leather, and I don't eat honey because, like, for some reason, honey's bad too. I don't know. I don't know.
Caitlin, I would just like the audience to know that Caitlin's doing a lot of hair flips while she's doing this impression.
Yes. So, Emily.
Yes.
What's your weekly obsession?
My weekly obsession is a YouTube channel that kind of got my vegan research started.
Okay.
It's the channel I was watching when I saw the vegan recipes out of a van, and I was just like, this looks so easy, so I started researching it more. Mm-hmm. The channel is called Wild We Roam.
Okay.
I freaking love it.
Sounds neat.
It's awesome. Yeah. So I stumbled upon their channel because they did a KonMari clean through of one room in their house. Because they were trying to do it in a day, and they couldn't do the whole thing in one day, so they did it in 2 days. But I started looking through the rest of their channel, and they normally live out of a van. They are the hashtag van life. Oh, and so they live in a van in, where are they now?
Down by the river.
Down by the river. There's a lot of water. I think they're in Portugal last I heard.
Okay.
But I think they have moved to, like, northern Spain now.
Interesting.
But they just, like, travel around in the van, and they do a lot of photography and a lot of videography. Mm-hmm. They're very inspirational. Yeah. I'm just like, oh my God, y'all are amazing. Because their videography is so good, and the van life fascinates me. Because I don't, I live in a over 1,000-foot square apartment and like have every inch filled, and so I'm just like, how does one do it? But I don't know. They're very inspirational, and I love watching their channel. And so that's my weekly obsession is the Wild We Roam YouTube channel. Go check it out.
Yeah, sounds really cool. I like stuff like that. I like we talked about tiny houses in our first episode, and so I really like looking at that stuff. So this is another one I'm going to check out, which Your last week one. I have it saved on my list of Netflix. I have not yet watched it, but it's in my list. It's Carrot's House.
That is an improvement.
This is an improvement. So
I'm excited for you.
Yes. So while we roam, I will check it out on YouTube.
Caitlin.
Yes?
What's your weekly obsession?
So my weekly obsession, you asked me what my weekly obsession is. No, I'm kidding. Okay. So my weekly obsession is really just getting ready to move into our new apartment. So we're moving from a 720 square foot apartment to a 900 square foot apartment. So it seems like, woo, big space for me and everything like that, because we've been 2 people and a 720 square foot is very small. But so I'm gonna
including the garage, right?
Not including the garage.
Oh, not okay.
Yeah. So I think maybe, I don't know actually. I need to check that out. Anyways, but so I'm gonna have my own closet.
Ooh.
And we're gonna have 2 bathrooms.
Ooh.
Oh, and my bathroom's gonna be cat themed. So there's that. But anyways, my weekly obsession, because of all this, is looking up on Pinterest small spaces interior designing, because now I'm gonna have a lot more like spaces to work with that me and Forrest aren't just like trying to cram a bunch of stuff in. We're actually gonna have space to like I've been looking up like how to make walk-in closets look nice, and like we're gonna have a smaller kitchen than we did before. So I've also been looking up like, I know the counter space is like almost halved, but
whoa.
Yeah. So we've been looking up like how to like make use of walls and like hanging things from the ceiling and like stuff like that. And so and then using part of the dining room to like put other things in. And so we've been just like talking through this stuff. Mainly it's been me looking at Pinterest and going, hey, Forrest, here's an idea. And he goes, I don't know. And then that's how it ends up working.
Sounds productive.
Yeah. So it's really just been a whole week of me just going like, we could do this, we could do that, we could do this. And that's really been my obsession of just like saving a bunch of different stuff on Pinterest, and just like once we move in, being able to be like, here's some ideas we could do to make this space better. Because right now it's been like, I mean, we haven't seen this apartment for a month, and so now we're like, ooh, I don't know. We don't know like how is this gonna fit here? It's not gonna fit there. So but yeah, so that's been my obsession, just trying to get everything in order for our move that starts tomorrow. It's actually gonna be last Friday when this episode comes out. But
so you will have moved.
I will have moved.
I will say I can't wait to see it, but since it's in the future, I will say it was great.
Yeah.
I love your new place.
Hey, thanks. I hope you liked the tour. And
yeah, that was a really cool tour that you did.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Thank you for listening to Almost Sisters. I'm Emily.
And I'm Caitlin.
You can follow Caitlin at authorcsloanlewis.com for her blog and c.sloanlewis on Instagram. You can follow me on YouTube at the channel name Did You Make That? Almost Sisters is a production of Blab and Scribble Studios. You can follow all of our current and future projects by going to blabandscribble.wordpress.com. You can find links to all of our stuff in the description box. Caitlin, should we do an outro?
No, not today. We should talk about Peta and Steve Irwin. Have you heard about that?
I did.
Where Peta like
denounced him.
Yeah,
basically
said that he was abusive to animals
on his birthday.
On his birthday.
On his birthday.
It's a hero.
Peta, chill, please.
Yeah. All right. So
that was pretty good.
That was really good.
Just Peta. Hey, Peta. Hey, Peta, chill.
Hey, stop being a bitch.
Hey, come on, stop.
Just stop. No, stop. No.
Stop.
No, Peta, put it down. Put it down.
Take up Steve Irwin, put him down.
Put him down. Peta, I've told you this before. Put him down.
Leave Steve Irwin alone.
Leave him alone, I swear to God.